Speak on the Show, episode 23. Saturday morning, y'all. Y'all ready? Let's go. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's your boy R.W. Coolins. Speak on the show first and foremost, giving out to the guy who allows me to come at you in this manner on a weekly basis. How's everybody doing Saturday morning? By Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. That's what we do here on the Speak on the Show every Saturday morning. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. rwcoolins.com over all social media platforms. Just search R.W. Coolins. We're broadcasting live on Facebook and YouTube this morning, as we always do. You can go back and download the shows after. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. All the shows are there. Spreaker.com, Apple iTunes. That's where you can get the audio after the show. You can go there and download on Apple iTunes. Just search Speak on the Show, and it should pop up in your Apple iTunes search. That's what we do here on the Speak on the Show this morning. Let's see what we got. OT, my man. Good morning. I got something for you this morning. Good morning. Appreciate the support, my brother. Appreciate the support. 844-904-2665. That's 844-904-2665. No matter what the situation is, let your voice be heard. All we ask is if you come in and you make a comment or you call in, whatever you do, say what you mean and mean what you say. That's all we ask. We come in as maybe, with an attitude and strangers or whatever we may be, but we leave as family. That's what we do here on the Speak on this Show. Once you call in, once you tune in, you're a family member of the Speak on this Show. So that's what we do here every Saturday morning. Gary Burns, my brother. Good morning. Appreciate the support. My brother. Today, it's a straight talk, no chaser Saturday, baby. Straight talk, no chase. I'm giving it to you straight. We ain't putting no rocks in that thing. We ain't putting no mix in that thing. We giving it straight to you. Before we get into that, though, I got something I need to put out there. Two things. Let's start off with this. My man OT on the OT Radio Show. You can go search OT Radio Show on Facebook, OT Radio Show on YouTube. You can go there, find him. He's doing a lot of great interviews on his show, reaching out different people, all different genres. You got chefs, you got rappers, you got authors, you got it. Anything you can think about, OT got him on his show. So go there, OT Radio Show. Follow him on YouTube as well. Follow him on Facebook. Get to know him. But what I want to talk about OT right there this morning, OT has started this scholarship. And I think I mentioned it last week, but now I got more details because, I came unprepared when I said it before. And the scholarship is the Etherin Tanzamore Scholarship. Etherin Tanzamore Scholarship, which is OT's mother. OT's mother was a nurse. She was in healthcare her whole career. And what OT decided to do was come up with a scholarship for the youth, And it says any high school seniors with a GPA of 2.5 or higher are eligible to apply. Those with a low income background and are planning to pursue a career in the medical field. Etherin Tanzamore Scholarship. Where you can find it, go to bold.org. That's bold, BOLD.org. Search under the scholarships. And then if you search Etherin Tanzamore, scholarship will pop up. You can donate to the scholarship if you want to donate. Also, that's where they can apply for if you got somebody that that may be eligible for this scholarship. Now, it's a good thing, OT. I'm going to give you a shout out, man. This is a good in remembrance of his mother, and I think we all in one way or another should try to support, because anytime we're giving back to the community in this way, scholarships or whatnot, it's a good thing. It's a good look, and it gives somebody that little bit of hope to be able to follow their dream of being in the medical field that may not have the means to be able to give them a step up, a hand up, or whichever one you want to call it, to get started with this scholarship. So the Etherin Tanzimore Scholarship, OT's mom, you can follow, you can always also find information on the OT radio show, but it's under bold.org, BOLD.org. Search scholarships, and then under scholarships, search Etherin Tanzimore. That's ETHERINE Tanzimore, TANSIMORE. That's simple. Donate, put into the fund to fund someone's education through this scholarship fund so they can follow their path into the medical career field. Now, also on the verbiage of OT as we transition, September 24th, set your clock, set your alarm, set whatever you need to set. September 24th of 2022, the last Saturday of September, the Speak On It show will be hosting and celebrating the 10th anniversary of Speak On It. The 10th anniversary of Speak On It. No thanks needed, brother. That's what we do for each other. That's what we do. The 10th anniversary of the Speak On It show. Make sure you tune in September 24th, same bat time, same bat channel. And the host will be OT. OT is going to be hosting the show. And, you know, I know he's got some things in store. We've been talking a little bit, but not in depth because I'm going to leave it up to him. He's the one to put me on, so I'm going to let him be the one to lead the way on this 10th anniversary show for the Speak On It show. So, September 24th, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10-year anniversary. That's what we're doing here on the Speak On It show. So, there'll be a lot of reminders coming out on that, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there. We got a little ways. So let's get on into this straight talk, no chaser Saturday. I'm going to say this. Some people will get mad. Some people will agree. I really don't. I hate to say I don't care, but I'm not bothered. I'm unbothered about what the opinions may be. So, yes, sir, 10 years, September 24th. That's it. So, all the noise that we heard about the gas prices being Joe Biden's fault. I've said it on here many times. President ain't got nothing to do with the gas prices or anything like that. A lot of people wanted to debunk that. They kept on seeing in the news and people on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere, Joe Biden's the reason the gas prices are so high. So my question to those people who felt that way, gas prices have dropped for the 50th consecutive day, and now they're under $4 a gallon in most states. Let me repeat that one more time. Gas prices have dropped over the last 50 days, and right now, as we speak, in some states, most states, gas prices are under $4. Now, my question would be, being that we blame, not we, let me clear that up. I ain't gonna say we. I ain't put myself in that category. Being that some people, Kamiko Sulcan, good morning, appreciate support. Being that some people chose to put the blame on Joe Biden for the gas prices being so high, I don't hear y'all celebrating Joe Biden for the gas prices being low again. Not lower that we're used to, but low, that the prices have dropped. Where's all that noise now? Huh? Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. I don't hear that. I don't hear that about them gas prices being low. See, this is where the hypocrisy comes into play. You can't blame him for the high prices, even though you was wrong, and not celebrate him for the low prices, even though you'd still be wrong. That's the point. The point I'm making here is gas prices have dropped. That's a good thing. Joe Biden had nothing to do with the increase. He had nothing to do with the decrease. But if you allowed it, in the beginning, be loud now. Be loud to say, man, I was wrong. He got them gas prices down. Every time you go to the pump, say, thank Joe Biden and pump the gas. If you were one of those people. That's all I'm saying. Let's be consistent with how we do these things. Don't pick and choose. Be consistent. As I've consistently said, the president is not responsible for gas prices. You heard it here over and over again. Now, we hear people throw out, certain people, pundits, whoever you want to talk about, our freedoms are under attack. Democracy is under attack. When things don't go their way, all these things are thrown into the equation. This week, we seen democracy at work. We seen the exercise of what it takes to maintain freedom and what freedom stands for in this United States of America, regardless of who you are, regardless of what position you've ever held or have held or will hold. This week, the former guy, former President Trump, came out with this statement. First of all, they went into his home. Let's just be honest here. They went to Mar-a-Lago because there was information that says that there were some things there that shouldn't have been there that we knew about. And I'm going to break down the timeline on how these things happened that we knew about a while ago. After he left office, he took some things he shouldn't have taken. And this week, the Department of Justice said, whoa, we've been dealing with this. We've been communicating this, what you need to do when you ain't doing it. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to go through the process. We're going to get a search warrant. We're going to come in and we're going to get these things. They ain't kicking no doors. They ain't busting no walls. They didn't tear the house up because here's the thing. Let me just start with this. We've all seen these quote unquote raids, as they say, where the FBI or somebody or ATF goes in somebody's house searching for evidence where they breaking doors and they busting walls open, looking for drug paraphernalia, looking for drugs, looking for weapons, looking for all these different things. But they did not do this at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence, in spite of the fact that he tried to make you feel or make people out there think that they did. No. The truth of the matter is that they went through the proper process. They even negotiated with his lawyers about what they needed to do, what they needed to be turned back in, so on and so forth. And they even gave them a warning, a subpoena at some time that this is what they needed. So when the search warrant came for them to go in, it was no surprise to anybody except the listeners of Donald Trump, because that's what he wants them to believe. And his statement after they went in said as such, and this is what he said. Not only will I not oppose the release of documents, well, this is after the fact. This is after the fact. So let me stop there because I'm gonna read this a little later. But Donald Trump and his lawyers, cronies, all these people, they came out with all these falsehoods about what happened, how it was a threat to our democracy, freedom is not free anymore, and all this. But this is what he said after they went in. He said something to the extent that the nuclear weapons issue is a hoax, just like Russia was a hoax. 2 impeachments were a hoax. The Mueller investigation was a hoax, and much more. Same sleazy people involved. Why wouldn't the FBI allow the inspection of areas at Mar-a-Lago with our lawyers or others present? Made them wait outside in the heat, wouldn't let them get close. Wouldn't even let them get close. Said absolutely not. And then he says, planting information, anyone? Reminds me of Christopher Steele dossier. Now let's break this down. First of all, they didn't just break in. Second of all, your lawyers knew they were coming because they gave the lawyers the search warrant when they arrived. They knew they were coming because they told them ahead of time when you got subpoenaed back in June, which I think it was, when they gave you a subpoena back in June with the DOJ, when they met with your attorneys and told them what they were looking for, that they had a grand jury subpoena at the time. But none of that is being brought up. You want people to think that they just busted in your house like you were some normal, common, everyday drug dealer. No. Or alleged drug dealer. No. Nuclear weapons, we're going to get into that in a minute because there's some sticky situations going on with that as far as whether there was nuclear weapon information or whatever. We don't know. We don't know. Let's just be real. We don't know. We don't know what's in those papers, and we'll probably never know exactly what's in those papers because they're TSSCI, which means top secret, and I can't remember the SCI, but it's the highest level. The highest level. Fox News, after this happened, came out and said, well, they came out and photoshopped a picture of the judge who signed the search warrant. They photoshopped a picture of him with Giselle, what's her name? Maxine Giselle, or whatever her name is. Jeffrey Epstein's girl, and tried to say he was affiliated with her, showed her rubbing his feet, him holding up a bottle of champagne and eating something or whatever. So this is the exploitation of what went on with this raid. They will go to no ends of the earth to try to change and sway public opinion about what's going on, what's happening, to fit the narrative of what they want. Back in January, when the National Archives said they have retrieved 15 boxes, now mind you, this ain't the second time they went there. Back in January, they retrieved 15 boxes of White House records, including classified information from Mar-a-Lago that Trump should have turned over when he left the office. Monday, they took another 12 boxes. They took 15 initially, now they took 12. That's 27 boxes of classified information to include all what other stuff he wasn't supposed to have. But if you let him and his people say it, they were raided, they didn't know, so on and so, you know the narrative. Now the argument, after all this happened, was that Donald Trump, being the president, could declassify any information or paperwork that he wanted to because he was the president. True statement. However, there's a process you have to go through that you just can't arbitrarily take them, and then when you get caught with them, say, oh, he declassified them. No, that's not how it works. So there's an ongoing story here, and we'll find out more as we go. But to say that he has the right to take these papers without doing it in the proper fashion just because he was president is wrong. And those of you who are out there agreeing with this, you're wrong. So let's break down exactly what went on with this. In January, after he left office, the National Archives and Records Administration issued a statement saying they had received some of Trump's presidential records. However, some had been torn up. Strike one. Some of them had been torn up. This was back in January. As has been reported in the press since 2018, White House records management officials during the Trump administration recovered and taped together some of the torn up records. So he has no regard for official documents or what the National Archives and Records Administration stands for. Let's just be real. In February, on February 8th, the NARA issued a statement confirming that it received 15 boxes that contained presidential records that were previously located in Mar-a-Lago residence. Illegal. They were illegally taken. He didn't declassify them at the time before he took them. Illegal. April 2022, and the New York Times reported that the National Archives were instructed by the Department of Justice to end its sharing of documents with the House Oversight Committee. CNN also reported that several of Trump's former aides were interviewed by FBI agents for the former president's handling of classified documents. This is back in April. So there's a concern about his handling, not just the possession, but the handling of classified documents. In June, several investigators with the Justice Department reportedly met with Trump's attorneys in June, where a grand jury subpoena was served for some documents at the Mar-a-Lago residence. So they knew some things were there. They served the subpoena. They got those few documents. They told them what they needed to do to secure the documents and everything. However, they didn't feel safe about what was going on down there because of the history of what he has shown as far as these documents are concerned. They didn't know if he was going to start destroying, his record, move him somewhere else so they couldn't find him and track him down. They didn't know any of these things. So they said, wait a minute. So on August 8th, the FBI agents searched the Mar-a-Lago residence, prompting the former president to issue a statement which said, these are dark times for our nation, as my beautiful home Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida is currently, watch this now, words matter, under siege, raided, and occupied by a large group of FBI agents. Nothing like this has ever happened to a president of the United States before. They even broke into my safe. What is the difference between this and Watergate, where operatives broke into the Democrat National Committee? Here in reverse, Democrats broke into the home of the 45th president of the United States. This is what Donald Trump put out in the atmosphere the day that they went in to retrieve the information that they needed, that he illegally had. Question is, why didn't he just comply? The numerous times they reached out to him, as they always try to say with these traffic stops with young black men getting shot, they end up running. Why didn't they just comply? Well, why didn't he just comply? See, no one wants to ask these hard questions. Why didn't he comply? Why are we overlooking at the fact that he had many chances to turn these things over? He chose not to. So when they go in, now it's a raid, it's a siege, it's all these different things, but he wasn't even home. He was in New York. Then his lawyer, she came out and tried to say that they never got to see the subpoena. They never got to see the search warrant. But she signed the documents showing everything that they took out on that day. But she never seen any documentation. They never gave her no paperwork or nothing, but she signed the papers. People need to pay attention and stop just hanging on. Read, listen, learn. These people will tell you what they want to tell you because you're gullible. You'll take this in and think it's okay and think it's all truth. James Battle, good morning, my brother. Good morning. Appreciate support. And think it's all truth. We all know that these alternative facts that they want to throw out there in any case happen over. You know, this wasn't a raid. This wasn't a siege. This was the Department of Justice, the FBI going in and doing their job like they do with anybody who's suspected of a crime that they get the proper search warrant for. And here's the other question that I'm going to ask, because I talked about this last week, but I'm going to put it in the equation, not comparing, but bringing up something that needs to be observed. You have people out here that support Donald Trump so strongly that when he came out and said that the search warrant was fake or it wasn't right and that the lawyers didn't get to see the search warrant and all these different things, and people jumped on his coattails and say, yeah, they're going against the president, is wrong. If the Department of Justice defund the FBI. Defund the FBI. And this was coming from people in political positions, congressmen, senators, and so on and so forth, saying defund the FBI because they went in and did their job at Mar-a-Lago to retrieve documents that shouldn't have been there. But these are the same people that when Black Lives Matter movement was going on and they said defund the police, were in an uproar. They were in an uproar. But when they're saying defund the FBI because of what they did to Donald Trump, everybody's supposed to be okay with that. They sat here and lied about the fact that they didn't get the search warrant or that they seized and they broke in the house. Does anybody remember us talking about this with Breonna Taylor last week? The search warrant was fake. They kicked doors in. They killed a young lady off of false pretenses that they knew were false pretenses. 4 people are now being charged. And then you got this propaganda from this former president saying that what the Department of Justice and the FBI was doing to him was unfair. But you haven't heard a peep out of them as far as what those police officers did to Breonna Taylor. Not an inkling. Not one word. He knows he's wrong. And those of you out there that keep supporting this man and his lies, y'all in for a rude awakening. You're in for a rude awakening. They also said that the Washington Post reported that the FBI agents were searching for possible nuclear documents at Trump's residence. Think about this for a minute. The FBI was searching for possible nuclear documents at his home. What would anyone, government, president, military, any of those categories, need with nuclear documents after they left office? Now, this is alleged. I don't know what's in the documents, but they're saying that there could be nuclear information in these documents. So the question I'm asking is, what would you need those documents for? Well, let me help you out here. Because, you know, I try to do my research. And I wrote this down somewhere. Donald Trump, being that he had supposedly, may have, allegedly, these nuclear documents, could be charged under the Espionage Act. There's been many people that have been charged under the Espionage Act for taking a USB drive and downloading information and trying to sell it to another country and so on and so forth. What makes him any different? If he had documents that deal with nuclear secrets, he should be charged under the Espionage Act. Because it says, and I quote, Section 793 of the Act specifically is concerned with gathering, transmitting, or losing defense information which related to any document relating to national defense that through a gross negligence was illegally removed from its proper place of custody to be lost, stolen, abstracted, or destroyed. Now, that's a long amount of stuff. But somewhere in there, if these nuclear documents are to be found within this classified information, why wouldn't he be charged with this? And don't give me that thing where he had the right to do it and this thing about him being able to declassify. If he had declassified this information in the proper manner, the FBI, DOJ, none of those people would have been knocking on his door that early Monday morning. None. James Battle, Putin probably already has every bit of that information. I wasn't going to go there this morning. I wasn't going to go there this morning. But that's the question. That is the question. If he had it, allegedly, who else may have it? If he had it, allegedly, who else may have it? The other part that jumped out at me in these papers that he supposedly had, they found info papers on the French President Macron. Now, anybody that's watched, the process of the politicalization of what's going on in the world when it was going on when Donald Trump was president and stuff like that, him and Macron, the French president, they didn't have a good relationship. They had a little head button. Not only him, but as James Battle just mentioned, Vladimir Putin doesn't have a good relationship with the French president as well. So what strikes me odd is why would they find papers about the French president at Mar-a-Lago in the possession of the former president, Donald Trump? See, this is all speculation, but I mean, these are things that were identified on the search warrant of things that they took out, that they actually wrote down a receipt to say, we got this, we got this, we got this, and to say that there's papers in there that deal with the French president, for me, it's concerning. Now, I don't care about the thing about Roger Stone, the whatever he was asked for, the pardon paperwork or the executive information or anything like that, because they're all crooked as far as I'm concerned. So that don't mean nothing to me. They already gave him a pardon for things he did illegally and everything. He's a little fish in a pond right now, as far as I'm concerned about what they pulled out of there. Now, going forward, it may find out some more information about that, but as far as Roger Stone is concerned, I'm concerned about these nuclear documents, allegedly, and the paperwork on the French president. What were the intentions of this paperwork? Those are the things that I got to question, that everybody in this United States of America should be questioning. James Battle, if he had declassified the information, why didn't he tell them back in June when they visited him? He never mentioned declassification at that time. That's the point. Never once during these times when they visited him, never once during the time when they first found out that he was tearing papers up, all this stuff back in January when he first left office, was anything brought up to the point of him having declassified any information that he has in his possession. And anyone in this United States of America who is not a little timid about this, reevaluate. Because this is not something to just take for granted as far as somebody losing a piece of paper somewhere. This is classified documents that have fallen in, and as they're classified for the reason of if they fall into the wrong hands, they could be used against the United States to do some things. And he had them stored at his residence, which is a golf course. And as I read in the thing, it said they were stored in a closet that was near the bathrooms and the showers where the people go to play golf at the course. So they weren't preserved, they weren't safely kept at this residence, mind you. Now I know there's a lot of people who will say, man, come on, Coons. It ain't that serious. It's not. Are you sure? Because from what I know and from my experience, and I've said this before and I'll rehash it, I've dealt with classified documents, top secret documents in my time as an active duty military member. And there's consequences for how you handle or mishandle that information. We, as a society, give these politicians too many benefits of the doubt of what they did and didn't do, or what they should have known, or what they didn't know, or their advisors should have told them this about. We need to stop this. We need to stop giving these people some of y'all don't give your family members the benefit of the doubt when they do something wrong. But you're going to give these people the benefit of the doubt because of where they sit, because someone chose to elect them to put them in office. And when they do something wrong, we give them the benefit of the doubt. Why? They're human just like you. They have temptations just like you. They can be bought and sold just like you. They can be bribed just like you. Oh, and they can make mistakes just like you. But there's a big wide gap, in my opinion. There's a wide gap between a mistake and what you meant to do. The intent of what you plan to do. There's a wide gap. Fake Jackson, good morning, my brother. Appreciate the support. There's a wide gap. But it seems that we get on this with modern technology, per se. Just like I'm able to come to you today and speak on this, on the Speak On It show. Everyone in this United States and abroad have the same ability to do what I'm doing right now. And with that being said, everybody with that ability has a choice to make on what information they choose to put out there. We have a choice on what information we choose to receive as truth and lies. However, there comes a time in there where some people tend to see what they want to see, because what they see is what they want to see, not the truth of what it is. There's a lot of fumbling around in there, but the bottom line is this. Most people had a common sense to know right and wrong. You're taught that at a young age, what's right and what's wrong. As you grow older, when you're out on your own and you got to make these decisions, sometimes what you know is the decision that you should make that is right. You'll make the wrong decision because that's what's in your best interest at the time. We do the same thing when it comes to listening and hearing and understanding what we want to take as truth and what we want to push off as false. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. However, we have seen this before. We've seen this every time this president, former president, is backed into a corner. We see him attack the processes. We see him attack, the Department of Justice or the establishment that is doing the things that they're doing. He attacked Robert Mueller for the Russia investigation. He attacked the House for the 2 impeachments that he was under investigation for. He attacks everybody that goes against whatever he is trying to do. Most people would say that's a bully. He attacked every Republican that he ran against leading up to the nomination to be president, and they now support him. Go out on a limb, most of us, if someone called your spouse, man or woman, ugly, I don't think you would deal with them too much, because we got family members that don't agree with who you're married to, but they ain't going to disrespect you in your face. That's the one thing that we not going to have happen. But I'll be damned if I'm going to support you in anything you do. I don't wish no bad harm on you. But come on now. Michelle Long, good morning. Good morning. Appreciate support. Malcolm Massenberg, what's up, my brother? I have knew someone that received an Article 15 and a UIF for leaving the classified safe open when they went to the restroom. And that's at our level. That's at our level. That's not taking it home. That's not mishandling. That's the simple fact of just having to go to the bathroom and maybe forgetting in your normal process that you need to close that safe, lock it up until you come back and put all the contents back in the safe. Sign that little card on the top saying that you closed it, open it at this time, you close it at this time, close it up, go to the bathroom, come back, sign that little note, that little sheet on the top again, open it back up, and continue doing what you were doing. And then when you finish, you close it, you sign off again, saying what time you closed it and what date you closed it, and you're going about your business. No harm, no foul. However, when you do what Malcolm Masburg's talking about, yeah, there's consequences. Now, you may get away with it once or twice when nobody's seen it, but once they see it, people are going to do and hold you accountable, because without holding you accountable, then they're just as guilty as you were by going to the bathroom, leaving the safe open. It's that simple. So by the Department of Justice, FBI holding Donald Trump accountable and going and getting these things from Mar-a-Lago, holding him accountable for something he shouldn't have had in his possession anyway, per se, allegedly, they're doing their job. They're doing their job. Brown Hoodie, good morning, sir. Good morning. Appreciate your support. And I'll bring this point up, and this is going to go back a little bit because it's going to lead into what I'm talking about next with the Kerner Commission. For all you that don't know what the Kerner Commission is, I got some information for you. But here's the thing. Isn't it ironic? Let's say ironic. That you have people in political positions. Let me get my shirt right. It's all bunched up because I'm on the road this morning. People in political positions that are yelling out from the rooftops, defund the FBI, because of them going into Mar-a-Lago in the former president's home and taking back classified documents that he shouldn't have in his possession, allegedly. But the FBI, during the time of Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, the Black Panthers, do I need to keep going? The FBI has been the same institution all these years, even at the time when they were doing what they did to those fearless African-American Black leaders that we had fighting for our rights back in the day. Same FBI, same platform, same purpose, but never once when they were investigating Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, the Black Panthers, so on and so forth, or any organization that was fighting for civil rights, did anyone, politician or otherwise, say defund the FBI because of what they're doing is wrong. We know for a fact, because the tapes have come out, of how long and how in depth they investigated, or they followed, or they phone tapped Martin Luther King Jr., Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Don't let me leave that off now. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, so on and so forth. But in this instance, now mind you, those people I just named are great Black leaders, had no classified information. They had done nothing wrong except fight for the freedom and equality of people in this United States of America. But this former president, who is taking documents that he's not authorized to have, allegedly, and these certain people are in an uproar saying, defund the FBI. Let that marinate for a minute. Because the principles of what the FBI, Department of Justice, all that stands for, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. The way they investigate things that go on, and they make sure that they got the I's dotted and T's crossed with the search warrants and everything at that level, supposedly, allegedly, are all on board. And then Donald Trump came out and said, and people, politicians and other people out there that wanted to have their opinions about it, throw it out there and say, well, if they did everything they were supposed to do, tell the DOJ to release the search warrant. No. That's not what they do. And what people didn't realize is that Donald Trump, the former president, had the search warrant in his hand. He had the search warrant in his hand. He had the list of things that they took from his home. And never once did he intend to share those things. He wanted to put out there in the atmosphere that they didn't do this, they didn't do things right, they didn't give a search warrant, all these different things they said. And then you had people saying, why don't the DOJ release the search warrant? That's not what they do. So Merrick Garland, who I'm starting to get a little bit more respect for, came on TV. And Merrick Garland said, I'm going to ask that this search warrant and all the documents that can be released be released. I'm going to ask for it today, for it to be released. And then all of a sudden, the Trump people scattered those. He going to release it. What we going to do? What we going to do? Oh, my God, what we going to do? And then Donald Trump came out with this after Merrick Garland put him on the seat. Because he said, and I quote, Donald Trump could release that document anytime he felt like, but he didn't want to. He tried to put it on Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland said, I'm going to go through the proper channels and make sure that we can get this released so people can be quiet about this. I'm going to put the ball back in your court, Donald. Donald Trump came out and said this after Merrick Garland put him on Front Street. Not only will I not oppose the release of documents related to the un-American, unwarranted, and unnecessary raid and break into my home in Palm Beach, Florida, Mar-a-Lago, I'm going a step further by encouraging the immediate release of those documents, even though they have been drawn up by radical left Democrats and possible future political opponents who have a strong and powerful vested interest in attacking me, much as they have done for the last 6 years. Now he transitions to this. Watch this now. My poll numbers are the strongest they have ever been. Fundraising by the Republican Party is breaking all records, and midterm elections are fast approaching. This unprecedented political weaponization of law enforcement is inappropriate and highly unethical. The world is watching as our country is being brought to a new low, not only on our border, crime, economy, energy, national security, and so much more, but also with respect to our sacred elections. Release the documents now. He wrote all this. He put all this in a statement. Easy E, good morning, my brother. Good morning, appreciate you. He wrote all this in a statement after Merrick Garland put him on Front Street. But all he had to do was tell his lawyers, go ahead and release it. He could have done it day one. He could have done it hour one after it happened, if he chose to, because once they gave it to him, it's up to him what he wanted to do with it. But he waited until Merrick Garland, who they thought wasn't going to do it. They thought Merrick Garland was just going to be quiet because Merrick Garland is very quiet. But he's playing chess. He ain't playing checkers. Merrick Garland is playing chess. He's not playing checkers. But they didn't think he was going to come out and say anything. So he did. And when he did, they had to scramble. And in this thing, not only did he say, not only will I not oppose the release of the documents, he went into all this other stuff about elections, and he said a high approval rating and so on and so forth, and how much money the Republican Party is making. And this was a political stump speech about them taking documents from his house. Read between the lines. Don't take all that. Release them. That's it. Release them. He could have put them up like he puts everything else on Truth Social. I think that's his platform. He could have done that, but he chose not to because they did not think Merrick Garland was going to release it. Let's just be honest. Let's be real about it. But that's the way things go. That's the way they play the game. James Ballard, he was speaking directly to his worshipers, not the DOJ. That's who he always speaks to. Exactly. Exactly. We'll see. We'll see how this turns out. What comes of it. I'll be watching. I'll be reporting. I'll give you what you need to know. So now we've heard this thing, and it's been a long push about critical race theory. How critical race theory shouldn't be taught, how it doesn't mean anything, it's just a theory and all this kind of stuff. But last week, I seen this article from CNN, and they had talked to Fred Harris. Fred Harris was a Democrat from Oklahoma back in the day. And in the 1960s, it's been more than 50 years. 51 now. But President Lyndon B. Johnson decided he wanted to put together this Kerner Commission. The Kerner Commission, Kerner is the guy that was in charge. He was over top of this commission. But the Kerner Commission was to look at it was a National Advisory Commission on Civil Disorders. And what they were looking at was the riots that were going on in majority Black neighborhoods, African-American neighborhoods back in the day. And they wanted to get to the bottom of why these things were happening. So Lyndon B. Johnson, came up with this Kerner Commission, Kerner Commission after its chair, Governor Otto Kerner of Illinois, was an 11-member presidential commission established in July of 1967 by President Lyndon B. Johnson in Executive Order 11365 to investigate the causes of urban riots in the United States during the summer of 1967. The report was released in 1968 after 7 months of investigation. It attributed the riots to lack of economic opportunity for African Americans and Latinos, failed social service programs, police brutality, racism, and the orientation of national media to white perspectives. The 426-page report was a bestseller. The 426-page report was a bestseller. And I bring this up in this context because I don't like to, as y'all hear me say, I don't like to do the comparisons. But in this Kerner Commission report, it piggybacks and has some of the same information that is addressed in critical race theory. But no one wants to talk about critical race theory, and a lot of people don't even know about the Kerner Commission report. Why? Because even after it was done, the government never acted on what the things needed to be done to try to eliminate these inaccuracies amongst people of color, minorities, and so forth. Fred Harris, as I said, he did an interview, and I'm going to post this interview on my page later on so you can pull it up, but he did an interview with CNN about this. And this report stated that racism was a major cause of economic and social inequality for Black people, and that it was moving the nation toward two societies, one Black, one white, separate and unequal. That, coupled with the brutal police treatment of people of color and poverty, helped spark the race riots of the 1960s. At the time, the commission's findings shocked many Americans because for the first time, white racism was noted as a major cause for the unequal status and living conditions of Black Americans, said the commission's last surviving member, former Oklahoma Senator Fred Harris. But the report's findings and proposed solutions led to nowhere. More than 50 years after the report, Harris, historians, and policy experts tell CNN that change will only come when the people have the will and the government is truly honest about what must be done politically, socially, and economically to address racial inequality. Now, I bring this up, as I said, because everybody's so hell-bent about the critical race theory mindset, what it says, why it shouldn't be taught, different things like this. But you have two of these things, critical race theory and the Kerner Commission report, that are saying the same things about what was going on back at that time. And it still had the propensity to be going on today. The Kerner Commission addressed policing. In the report, they found that many Black people viewed the police as symbols of white power, racism, and repression. The atmosphere of hostility and cynicism is reinforced by a widespread belief among Negroes in the existence of police brutality and in the double standard of justice and protection, one for Negroes and one for whites, the report read. The report made a number of recommendations, chiefly among them the need to diversify the police force with more Black officers. It also laid out a plan for how the federal government should create, fund, and support a community service officer program. This was sort of a pipeline for Black men between 17 and 21, the report read. The idea was, in theory, that seeing Black cops in Black communities would help establish trust in the police. The recommendation for this program also looked to improve communication with the Black community and create jobs for Black teens and young adults. This is nothing that we haven't heard before. And this was back in 1968 when this report was released. Mind you, 1968. Think about that for a minute. What was going on in 1968? Isn't that when Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated? Policing was one of them that they brought up, which we still have a problem with today. We see it. The other one was poverty and Inequity. Harris told CNN many black residents at the time were subjected to terrible housing, almost criminally inferior schools, no jobs, no transportation to get to where the jobs had moved or where the new jobs had formed. We said these conditions were a result of white racism, Harris said. We said white racism created these black ghettos, and it's white racism which sustains them. The poverty rate for families headed by black people or other races, 27% in 1969, was 3 times that of other white counterparts, 8%, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. In 2019, the poverty rate for black people, 18.8%, was double that of white people, 9.1%. Sure, more black Americans are attaining some economic prosperity, but the inequities in wealth, income, and unemployment still exists. Inequity, poverty, still sound consistent? Still sounds consistent. Good morning, big brother. What's up, Big Al? Appreciate the support, bro. And then the other thing they addressed was solutions. They came up with solutions. The last question needed answering in the current commission was, what can be done to prevent race riots from happening again and again? We recommend a great new federal program, vigorous enforcement of the recently enacted civil rights laws, but also great new programs in regards to jobs, housing, and health and education. Unfortunately, the commission came at what historians call a political moment. And what they did after they did this commission, Lyndon B. Johnson told them to put this commission together, find out where the problems were. The funding that they were going to use for the commission and what they found to change these inequities and change these policing problems and change whatever they found, they pulled that money away and put it towards the Vietnam War. They pulled the money away and funded the Vietnam War. So when people want to talk about critical race theory, about racism doesn't exist, and so on and so forth, there's been this footprint in this United States that is embedded. That racism still exists, maybe not to the extent it was back in the 60s. Maybe not to the extent it was when they looked at doing the critical race theory project. Maybe not to the point of back when we talk about the 1619 and slavery and, 1776 or 1865, the Emancipation Project. Maybe not to those extents. And maybe that's why people look at the full extent of what racism and slavery and everything was about from back then. And then they look at where we're at now, where, just for example, like I mentioned before, I can come on here, do a show, it's equal footing as far as what I want to put out there, as far as anybody else and everything. And we look at that as equality. There's no inequity. There's no problems. There's no racism. But I'm also going to post a video someone sent me. Appreciate that, Latham Woods, if you listen. A video someone sent me of a former white nationalist, racist individual who did a TED Talk. He did a TED Talk. And he talked about racism in this country. And he talked about how it is still prevalent in this country. He talked about what he believed when he was a racist, when he was a white nationalist, and the mindset and everything like that. Now he's out there talking about what needs to be done to change this mentality in this United States. I'll post a video. It'll be on the page a little later on. But when you see these things and you got people that are involved in these movements and they come out and tell you that from their mouth that it's still happening and people want to disregard it, I think one of the biggest problems we have, and then we're going to transition, but I think one of the biggest problems we have in this country, and I'm just going to put it in these terms. When you talk about racism, because of the history of what racism is all about, and the history of what slavery is all about, and so on and so forth, and how people have been treated in this United States as far as people of color, when you say racism, not only for African Americans and minorities in this country does it spark something in us, but I think for those white people who hear racism, they take it personal, because the people who believe that, the people who practice that, the people who had people in bondage and slavery, look like them. And I'm here to tell you today to let that go. Nobody's telling you or holding you accountable for what has been done. However, we're raising the flag and sounding the alarm that these things are still going on, and you may not be a part of it. You may not be involved in it, but there's other people that look like you that are. And all we're trying to do is make you aware that these things are still happening. So stop brushing it off like it's not going on, because it's not you. That would be like me saying back when they had the war on drugs, and they had this big push about drugs in the majority black neighborhoods, that they were out there trying to get a handle on this. And because I'm a person of color, I thought that they were only going after me, even though I wasn't one of the drug dealers, and I felt guilty about it. It's the same concept. If you're not involved in it, stand up against it. If you're involved in it, change your mentality. That's it. We have gotten to the point in this United States that when people say something about racism or inequality or any of those type things, people get on the defensive, not because of what they may have done, but because of what people that look like them have done. So what you're saying is you're using the tactics of what was done back in the day, where the stereotypes were put on all blacks because of what one black did, to think that the stereotype of the slave master or those people back in the day or those white nationalists that we have today put you in that same category. No, we don't work that way. We don't think that way. Your actions tell us where you stand. Your silence in times of protest lets us know where you stand. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And it's not that hard. Edward Allen, they all are still benefiting from racist practices and policy. Yeah, they're benefiting, but that doesn't mean they're all practicing. That's the point I'm trying to make. Everyone may be benefiting from it that looks like those who did it. However, that doesn't mean that they're practicing it in this capacity. Now, they'll use it to their advantage when they can, in most cases. However, come on. All we're asking is to recognize the fact that it hasn't gone anywhere. Recognize the fact that there's still people in this United States of America who stand on white supremacy. Don't blow it off like because it's not you that it's not happening. I'll speak, and I don't want to speak for everybody in the African American black community, but I'll say this: we all understand what happened. We all understand that there's pockets of people who still feel this way. But we also all understand that everybody is not thinking the same way. Just like you don't want to be lumped into a category of what's wrong, we don't want to be lumped into the category of what's wrong. You see somebody like, we've heard many times, you're not like the other black people. What do you mean by that? That'd be like me coming to a white person and say, oh, you ain't like them white nationalists. You actually speak to us. How would you feel? Just saying. Just saying. Stop blowing it off like it doesn't exist. Stop acting like it never happened. Understand the residual effects of what went on. Stop and understand that, yes, we're living in the 2020s. But 1960 wasn't that long ago. I was born in 66. And if it was going on in 66, and this country was established in 1776, and we still got these same conversations in the 2020s, James Battle, we need more of our own people to stop buying into the lies. Well, yeah, well, that's a show within itself, James Battle. Because I think sometimes we are harder on our own people than we are on other folks. And when I say that, I'm not trying to defend any of the actions of certain people that we see that don't have our best interests at hand. And I put a couple names like the Candace Owenses, the Clarence Thomases, Ben, what's his name? Ben Carson, and those people that people want to label this and label that. Cameron down in Kentucky, all these people who have been in these positions to make decisions, and it seems like they have sold themselves out and everything like that. You know, there's an understanding that I think sometimes, and maybe I give them too much of the benefit of the doubt, that sometimes those people that have gotten to that position, they really haven't lost sight. But sometimes what they do is they go along to get along. They don't want to be a disruptor. They don't want to cause any problems, and they don't want to be looked at in a certain way. But we also have to take into account that that person didn't get there just by chance. That person is educated. That person has filled the squares. That person was either elected or chosen by somebody else that may not look like them. But sometimes we don't give them benefit of the doubt of what they may be doing right because we always concentrate on what there's definitely we see them doing wrong. Their accomplishments are their accomplishments. How they deal with certain things is up for discussion. But I won't speak on someone's heart because I don't know their heart. And I've always said this. It's like me, I'm not going to call somebody a racist that I don't know is a racist. However, if you know a person, you know where they stand. If you know a person, you know where they stand. Their actions may not always be consistent with what we want, but you know where they stand. You know where they stand. John Chaney, whenever the tables are turned, they act the way anybody would act. They defend themselves like now. Blue Lives Matter until the FBI raided the clown, and now it's defund the FBI. Exactly. What is Clarence Thomas doing right? Well, we don't know. Clarence Thomas has been on the Supreme Court for 30 years. We don't know everything that he may have voted against, but we always know what he voted for. That's all I'm saying. We don't know everything he's ever voted against that's come across there because a lot of that stuff has never been reported. But we always know what he voted against because they highlight, because it seems like he's against us when they put that out there. I'm not defending Clarence Thomas because I don't know everything about everything. But I'm just saying there's two sides to every coin and there's two sides to every story. So sometimes we got to step back and do our research and say, okay, well, if he voted against this, did he vote against that? Or did he vote for this? All those things come into play. He's got a 30-year track record. 30 years. I'm pretty sure if we pulled up our record for 30 years, ours ain't squeaky clean either. All I'm saying is we got to be consistent in how we look at these things. Clarence Thomas was put on the Supreme Court because of his qualifications. How he reads the law could be completely different than how we read it. How he chooses to interpret and place into fact what he feels and what he's read from his understanding of law. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt sometimes. It may not always be to our benefit, but it's not always to our demise either. That's all I'm saying. We gotta look at it in both aspects. That's all. I mean, sometimes, and I'll say this: we bring up Clarence Thomas, we bring up these other. I know, big guy. We bring up these guys like that, but let's just be honest with ourselves. Barack Obama did 8 years in office. Barack Obama didn't do everything that we thought he should have done in those 8 years, but we still look up to President Obama for being the first president of the United States of America. But we don't look up to Clarence Thomas as being only the second African-American to ever serve on the Supreme Court. Which way do we want it? We got to think differently sometimes. We got to look at the big picture. Everybody that's ever been elected to a position or put in a position has not always done the right thing by their own people. And we, as African Americans, are quick to judge our people by what we think they should have done compared to what they did do, not because of the facts, but because of who they are. This week, or last week, I think it was, and I forgot to mention it. Think about this for a minute. The United States Marine Corps, who is about to celebrate their 247th birthday. 247 years, the United States Marine Corps has been in existence. And just last week, or this week, one of the two, the first African American was promoted to 4-star general. 247 years of establishment of the United States Marine Corps, and just this week, we've had the first African American 4-star general in that service. Does that mean nobody before this was ever worthy? Does that mean that they didn't feel, all the requirements to be promoted to 4-star general? Or does it mean that the racist systems and the understanding of who we are and what we are didn't get anybody promoted to that level? I don't know. But what we do know is in the history of the United States Marine Corps after 247 years, we have only just had the first African American man promoted to 4-star general. What makes him different than the others that served, that maybe only made it to 3-star? We'll never know. We'll never know. Edward Allen, he disagreed with the very policies that put him there. Well, Clarence Thomas, we could go all day on Clarence Thomas. Let's just be real. But there's a lot of people that get put in position. Let's just go here. Your everyday military member who comes in as an airman, no stripes or whatever, your everyday worker that comes into a job, gets promoted to a position of authority over you. He looks like you. He was working with you. He gets promoted. He starts upholding the policies of the position that he's in now, and he's holding them against you and everybody else in there. But because he looks like you, do you expect him not to hold you accountable like he does everybody else because he looks like you? Or do you expect him to uphold the policies of the company? Because before he was in that position, there was someone of non-color in that position, and you did everything the right way. But because now you have somebody that looks like you in that position, do you tend to not do what you're supposed to do because he's there and thinking he's not going to hold you accountable? Those are the differences that we have to look at sometimes. Sometimes we take advantage of someone in a position because they look like us. And then when they hold us accountable, now we start using those words of, I'm not going to say them on here, but the words that we lay with those folks. That's what I'm talking about. So if we do it at this level, we definitely going to do it at that level. It's just the way we're geared. John Cheney, they were reluctant to give a black man that kind of power. They were reluctant. Been there 30 years, longest serving Supreme Court justice right now. Edward Allen, no, I don't. I expect him to hold everyone accountable equally. True. That's what we all expect, but it doesn't always happen. I always say this, and I'm going to leave it at this. Anytime you have human interaction in any process, it will be flawed. Anytime you have human interaction in any process, it will be flawed. For the simple fact, we all have biases. We all have opinions. We all have stereotypes we may not act on, but we understand and know what they are. Anytime you have that involved in a process, it's going to be flawed. You have judges that sit on courts. They have their own opinions about the people that stand in front of them that are being charged. Just what it is. John Cheney, I'm talking about the 4-star general. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. And the thing is this, 247 years, you have to think about that. We've been serving in the Marine Corps for at least that long. And now we've only just now found someone worthy to be a 4-star general in the Marine Corps, a person of color. We could go on for days with this, but that's just the way it is. I shouldn't say it that way. We'll talk more about this. Let's get into the mind, body, and soul. Mind, body, and soul. Mind, body, and soul is the year 2022. We're taking it 1,440 minutes, 1,440 moments you get every day in this 24-hour time period. Today's mind, body, and soul, transitioning a little bit from what we've been talking about. Today's quote, is by Marcus Tullius Cicero. Marcus Tullius Cicero. If you have no confidence in self, excuse me, let me start this over. If you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. If you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. You know, there's a lot of times where confidence that we may portray is mistook for being arrogant, conceited, that you have an ego, all those type things. But a lot of times our confidence that we portray is not to the full extent of what it could be. Let's just start with it this way. Sometimes we tamp down our confidence in who we are to fit into who we're dealing with. The most confident person can walk into a room, and in that room, if there's 30 people, 10 will have an opinion about him being overconfident, arrogant, conceited, so on and so forth. Our egos play a part in who we are. How you exude your ego, your confidence, can be misconstrued by many people. But that doesn't mean that you should tamp it down. Because the thing is this, and one thing that I know, I'm a very confident individual, just like a lot of people that I know. And with our confidence, it may come off as brash. It can come off as being arrogant. It can come off in all kind of different ways towards people or to people who don't have the same confidence in themselves. Because you're not confident in yourself, or that person not confident in herself, or whatever, should another person minimize who they are because you don't agree with it or because you don't see it in them? One of the things we need to understand is this. We all were created for greatness. All of us were created for greatness. Whether we choose to be great is our choice. I choose to be great. Hopefully you choose to be great. And in being great, there's going to be a whole lot of people that will mistake you as wanting to be great in everything you do, as being arrogant, conceited, egotistical, narcissistic. All those things will come into play when they try to identify who you are because of how you carry yourself and how you see yourself and what you're trying to accomplish in this life. There's a balance. There's always that balance that you have to maintain. But at the same time, in that balance, you should never minimize who you are and the confidence that you have in your abilities or who you are or what you do or what you've accomplished just because of naysayers and those that don't understand what you're about and what you're trying to accomplish in this world. God has a purpose for all of us. God has a purpose for all of us, and all of us may not. Let's just be honest. All of us may not reach the full potential of what he has gifted us with. That doesn't minimize who you are. That doesn't minimize who you are. In my opinion, and this is my opinion only, there's two factors to why you haven't become great. One of the biggest factors is you're worrying about what other people think about you and how you carry yourself while you're trying to ascend to the highest level of what you can do. Let that go. Because I guarantee those people are trying to get to the highest level of what they can do. So why shouldn't you? They're doing it in spite of you. They're doing it no matter what anybody says. And they're doing it and they sleep well at night because at the end of the day, it's about what they want to accomplish and what they want to achieve in this life because we only get this ride one time. The second thing that holds us back is fear. We fear success more than we fear failure. We fear success more than we fear failure. And I'll tell you why I say that. I say that because when we're trying to become successful at anything we do, We allow doubt to creep in, not because of our abilities, not because of who's going to try to hold us back. The doubt comes in because we doubt ourselves, because we don't and we worry about what other people think about us. That is one of the biggest things that holds us back from being successful at everything we attempt to do. What other people will think. If I live over there, gated community, 3,000, 4,000 square foot home, whatever, I'm concerned about how people think that I'm not the same person I was when I lived in that one bedroom apartment. When I get it promoted to another position, a higher position, or I'm named a director of a position or anything like that, I'm worried about how people perceive me because now I'm here. And even though they may not have ascended that far yet, I'm worried about how they're going to treat me because I'm here now. I haven't changed. I'm just going for it. I'm going and I'm trying to exhaust every bit of talent that God has bestowed upon me before I leave this earth. That's what we have to keep in mind. And it goes back to what we talk about with the Clarence Thomas and all these other people that we call these things. Those people are just trying to be great. However, let me put this caveat on it. However, you have some people that are trying to be great by the demise of other folks. You have to keep that in mind. Don't forget where you came from just because you don't live there no more. Your address of where you came from is still ingrained in you. The atmosphere in where you came from is still a part of who you are. So when you talk about confidence, arrogance, ego, narcissistic, all those different things that people want to label, don't worry about that. They're going to talk about you whether you're doing right or whether you're doing wrong. At the end of the day, be great. God created you for greatness. Go do that. As we said last week, just do it. Stop letting other people's opinions of you hold you back from being great. Stop letting other people's opinions of whether you're being overconfident or any of that thing stop you from being the best you. Because I guarantee you, if you look at them, they're trying to do the same thing. The only difference is you're cheering them on. They're talking about you. It's a thin line there. If you have no confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. Stop worrying about them people's opinions. Stop worrying about them people's opinions. You came in here to be great. Be great. Stop letting people minimize what your greatness is all about. That's all I'm saying. Let's go ahead and wrap this up for today. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Keep an eye on what's going on with the that classified material. Not that, because here's the thing. We may blow, let's just be real. We may look at this, what happened at Mar-a-Lago the other day, as being minuscule. Oh, he just took some documents or whatever. But it's not the fact of him taking the documents. It's the fact of what's in those documents. It's the fact of what's in those documents. Because what we got to figure out is this. And what they're going to find out. Frank Miller, appreciate the support, bro. That's right. Let's be great all the time. The fact of what's in these documents could really affect national security, depending on what's in the documents and depending on who else had access to the documents. Don't just blow this off because you may be a Trump supporter. Let's just be honest here. If you're a Trump supporter and you don't have a problem with what these documents may be that were in Mar-a-Lago that he took all willy-nilly, you need to reevaluate how you look at things in this United States of America. What's good for the goose, good for the gander. Because when Hillary Clinton about to serve her, lock her up. That's all we heard, lock her up. This is not a time to be picking sides of Democrat, Republican, left or right, conservative or liberal. Not a time to be doing that. It's a time to be picking a side of right and wrong, justice or injustice. That's the time to choose right now. Is he worthy? For some of y'all that are trying to think he should run again, is he worthy of leading this country again after everything we know? That's for you to decide. I'll be listening, I'll be watching, and I'll be reporting. Don't forget, September 24th, 10-year anniversary for the Speak on the Show. Appreciate y'all. Make sure you tune in. OT will be hosting. And don't forget about the scholarship. I'm going to post that on my website as well. So I will have a couple things on there. I'll have the White Nationalist TED Talks. I will also have the Kerner report, the Kerner Commission report on there posted, so you can read that. And whatever else I come with. I'm gonna start posting more things so you guys get the information you need on the websites. I mean, on the Speak on the Show, on the Speak on the Show page on Facebook. I don't know what's wrong with me. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Frank Miller, right or wrong. Gary Burns, appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Frank Miller, be blessed. Appreciate y'all. As I always say before I sign off, love yourself, love one another, keep your head up. Most definitely. Keep your faith in God. I'll holler at y'all next week, and I'll see y'all. And I'm out. Let me find it. Peace.